everyone, it's Sharronda from Pay or Wait, and today I'm going to be reviewing Doom Patrol Episode 1, the pilot episode for the new TV series streaming on DC Universe's app. And so this review is going to be a little bit different because for those of you who might not be familiar with the Doom Patrol comics, I kind of want to do a high-level review of how I felt about this first episode and why I love this show so much just from the first episode. But I also too want to go into what these different characters, what their abilities are, the differences between the TV show and also to the comic book series that these characters are based off of. So this video is going to be a little bit longer, so I really hope that you guys bear with me, but I'm going to do my best to get through this as quickly as possible. But first, I want to just give you a little backstory on the Doom Patrol. So the Doom Patrol kind of made its first appearance in 1964 in the My Greatest Adventures series, where we're introduced to these new characters. And so fun fact, a lot of people have been saying this is like a ripoff of X-Men, and actually Doom Patrol came out before X-Men did, and actually the creators of the Doom Patrol series kind of blamed Marvel and said, hey, you guys pretty much kind of stole X-Men, like based X-Men off of Doom Patrol and created like your own little version of these misfits. And so I just wanted to make sure I set you with the right expectations, gave you the right facts. Doom Patrol was first, y'all, so I don't want to hear nothing, but I still love both of you guys. I love Doom Patrol and I love X-Men as well, but Doom Patrol came first. So this TV series, we saw that the Doom Patrol actually made a brief appearance in the Titans episode, but we did see that they actually made a change to Chief, and for this series, actually Timothy Dalton will be playing Chief, kind of this genius who brought all of these misfits together. And so in the first episode, we kind of really get a true origin story for the majority of his characters, minus Crazy Jane, and also too, we learn more about, we're introduced to Cyborg in the second episode. And so we have Chief, who before we even get to Chief, we're introduced to Robot Man, who's played by Brendan Fraser, and I didn't even realize it was them. When the episode opened up, and then we see kind of this this guy smashing, who I know ain't his wife, because his wife's sitting up here looking for her husband, wondering where the hell he is. And we see it's real raunchy. I was like, this is like mild porn right now. Do I need to brace myself for this for the entire series? But we're introduced to Cliff when he was a famous race car driver. He is living the life, y'all, okay? He got the money, he got the glitz and glam, he got a wife who can't stand him, and he can't stand her either. And then he has his mistress, who is also the nanny, which is just real shady in itself. And so basically we're introduced to his character, and we see that he's driving this race, and we're like, oh, okay, so clearly he finna die in this race because he has this crash. And but that is not what actually turns him into Robot Man. So we kind of are introduced to this really sad story. We start out like seeing this guy who's really not a likable character, just the devil, okay, just all bad, just let all the money and fame go to him. And then as we see how his life spirals out of control as he has this crazy accident that involves his family, I was just like, I'm so sad right now. Am I supposed to be sad like this? Like, I was just like, I had to pause for a moment because I wasn't ready for all of this, like, just emotion that just came out of me. And so we see how after this accident, who turned out to almost be fatal for him, we see that he's kind of transformed into this robot that still has the consciousness of Cliff, but he's a robot. And as we see how Cliff kind of deals with, you know, first waking up from this accident, you know, seeing how all this time has transpired as he learns what really happened, what really led him to become Robot Man. It was so sad to watch, but I really love to see the progression of his character, to see how he went from this unlikable character to this really sympathetic character that really helps you understand why Robot Man is the way that he is. And I thought they did a very fantastic job of portraying his character and his origin story, which is the only real difference is in the comic, actually, when he has the accident on the racetrack, that's what actually, you know, almost kills him, and there's nothing that really involves his family. But I really love the extra added drama that they put into Robot Man's backstory, and I really think that that's what made his character even more likable now. So I have to go into Crazy Jane next, because one of the things that I really enjoy about both of these characters is kind of this this father-daughter relationship that they instantly create. But the pettiness that they had before when they first meet each other, because we have Crazy Jane, who has all of these different personalities, they don't get along at first. And then all this like back and forth, them flaming each other, I was just like, y'all are so petty. But you know, I love me a good little petty. But I love the father-daughter relationship that they have, especially going into their characters' backstories, where we have Cliff, who he might or might not have lost his daughter in the tragic car accident that he had with his family, as we see towards the episode. One of Jane's personalities just like, bruh, did you not use Google or phone? Clearly it shows that your daughter was alive, but we don't know who's telling the truth. We know that Chief already lied to him once, basically not telling him about the accident in fear that he wouldn't be able to really handle and process it. So and also, too, with Crazy Jane's backstory, which we really don't get into in the first or second episode, but not to give too much away, you know, she's a part of the second volume of the comics. I think she makes her entrance, the 1987 is when the second volume started. She makes her entrance into issue 19, I believe. Do not quote me on that. But her and Cliff kind of meet in this psychiatric facility. And I really love the scene where they show Jane painting in the rain, and then Robot Man comes and talks to her. I loved watching that scene come from the comics to life in the TV show. That was like one of my favorite moments between the both of them. And she kind of had a very traumatized past, especially abusive past in her childhood with her father. And so she created all of these different personalities. She basically and she has all these different personalities, and each personality has a different metahuman, a meta ability. Okay, so she's very powerful. We don't get to see as much from her character in the first episode. We see a little bit more in the second episode, but I love watching the two of them interact, and I love how their stories their backstories kind of draw one another closer together as they understand each other a little bit more. So we'll go into Elastigirl next. So Elastigirl, we see her backstory. She was a famous, beautiful actress, and she was on set filming a movie, and she falls into the water, and then she inhales some type of chemical, which turns her into this like blob character that's really brought on in moments of high stress and anxiety. And so everyone feared her and looked at her crazy. So she basically went into hiding. No one ever saw or heard from her again. And that's when Chief found her, and she's basically been staying with Chief this entire time. And one of the things that a huge difference between the comics and her character in this TV series, she's like this blob, but in the comics, she can actually grow bigger. She can grow smaller. She can even touch people and have them grow with her, which we kind of see something like that in the second episode. But I'm very interested to try to understand why there's such a huge difference between her character, just in her like abilities, like between the blob and being able to change her size. But so far so good. I loved watching her origin story kind of play on the TV screen from reading the comics, and she's a cool character. She's not one of my favorites, but she's fun to watch. I thought she did a great job in this series so far, and I like to see more what they do with her character as her character tries to manage, you know, her abilities by managing her stress as well. So we gotta go into Negative Man, played by Matt Bomer. So Matt Bomer's character, Larry Trainor, he is the all-American, like, poster child, okay? What you see, what American man living the American dream looks like, that would be Larry Trainor, okay? But there is a difference that they add into his story as he's playing this pilot who is testing out this aircraft, goes out into space, and then something crazy happens to him. Then the plane malfunctions, he crashes, it explodes, everyone thinks he's dead, and then he comes out of the flames and all his skin has been burnt off. And then basically that's why we see that he wears these bandages, okay? But one of the things that I love that they add was making his character gay, which is something that would definitely be really hard to deal with, having this family, but also having this secret relationship and basically being forced to choose between these two different life experiences. I thought it was very interesting to see them add that to his character, and I think they added a little bit more depth and helps more people connect to his character as well. I don't know if they're keeping it the same for this Negative Man that comes out of Larry's body. In the comics, he only has 60 seconds. So if he doesn't return to Larry's body in 60 seconds, then Larry will die. I don't know if they necessarily pointed that out in the first episode or if they're going to stick to that. I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see. But that's pretty much what rounds out this main core group of the Doom Patrol in the first episode. And I really think that where they do a fantastic job and why this is probably one of my favorite pilots that I've seen in a while is how they get the audience so quickly invested in this group of misfits by using their origin stories, which origin stories are typically really boring to watch, especially in movies. I don't necessarily care for origin movies because nothing really happens because you're doing all this like exploration into like their backstory. But I was totally like grabbed and pulled in because they did such a great job of showing like just why you would sympathize with these characters, how they had all of these traumatic events. It makes you want to root for them even more as Chief tries to get this group to see that they're more than just these bad experiences of what happened to them, that they can do something good with these tragic abilities that were given to them. And so as he tries to form this Doom Patrol, we see towards the end of the episode that they have this Jane gets them all to go out into the city, which we already knew was going to be a bad idea because all of them have their little different issues as they're going out into society. And then all of a sudden, we see that the Chief comes back because he left. He told them, he said, y'all just stay in the house. Just stay in the house. Don't do nothing crazy. Just live your best life here in the house. Don't go nowhere until I get back. But of course, Jane got them all to go out. Then all bad things happen. Elastigirl basically turns to this blob and starts tormenting the whole city. Then Robot Man has to try to protect this bus from getting killed. Negative Man pops out of Larry's body. Jane go crazy trying to calm Elastigirl down. So they just basically destroy the city. And then we see the Chief comes and gets them and then basically just like, hey, get your lives together. This is not what I told you guys to do. Y'all don't follow directions. Y'all don't do anything. And then we see that this weird donkey pop up, okay? Because Chief is mad because he's just like, now we're going to have enemies. There's a reason I kept you guys hidden. Now everybody finna come for us. So we need to basically pack our stuff and get up out of here. And then Robot Man was like, no, we are not doing that. We are heroes. Well, no, I'm not even gonna break out this song. I had to stop myself real quick. But he tries to convince them. He says, I'm not going with y'all to run away. I'm here to help people. It felt good helping those kids earlier. So he gets off, and then Jane was like, hey, we gotta go find him. We gotta help. And then they were like, yes. And the Chief was like, hell no. And he was just like, I'm finna leave. And so then we're introduced to our villain, okay? So our villain is Mr. Nobody, okay? And Mr. Nobody is actually, and I don't want to mess up his name, I think it's Mr. Morden. In the 1964 comics, he was a part of the Brotherhood or the Evil something. I'm sorry I'm messing this up, but y'all know what I'm talking about. So actually, he turns into Mr. Nobody in the 1987 versions, and I think issue 26 is where we're introduced to Mr. Nobody and his origin story. We see a brief moment of it in the first episode. But basically, he can just suck up all of this different energy, and he is the villain. He has found Chief, and he basically like just opens up this little portal hole and just say, I'm finna destroy this whole city. Not before this donkey just randomly like passed gas. I was just like, that was just so weird. And then we see the whole city beginning to be sucked up. They're trying to stop it. They don't know how the hell to stop it. So they're just trying to like hold on so they don't get sucked in. Then we see that Chief gets sucked into the hole. Crazy Jane goes after Chief into the hole, and they're like, no. And then Robot Man was like, no. And I felt that even more because of their relationship. I was like, no, his daughter cannot leave him again. It's too much. And so yeah. So then the whole thing, it just stops. It ain't no damn say, ain't nobody left but the Doom Patrol, and we don't know what the hell happened. And that's pretty much like the gist of the whole like pilot episode, which I loved. I thought they did a very great job. I thought Mr. Nobody looked super cool, especially looking at Mr. Nobody in the comics. I thought that they did a fantastic job. I was just like, I am blown away, DC. This was great. Keep it up. This level of energy right here, you keep that up for the whole season, okay? So those are pretty much my thoughts on Doom Patrol. I really hope you guys enjoyed this review, this kind of like backstory, kind of going back and forth between the comics and what happens in the TV series. I apologize for the video being so long. But as always, my name is Sharronda from Pay or Wait, and those are my thoughts on Doom Patrol Episode 1. If you like what you saw today, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and make sure you hit that notification bell, and I will see you soon.